Today, plastic is used in almost anything. From water bottles, shopping bags, TV remotes, even in your cars, plastic is everywhere. Because of its versatility and popularity, plastic usage and generation increased greatly from World War II to present day. From this graph, we can obviously see that from 1960 to 2010, plastic generation steadily increased. In fact, in 2012, the EPA estimated that the United States generated 32 million tons of plastic.
Wow.
I know. Wow. Let's look at the problem here. While generation steadily increased from 1960 to 2010, look at recovery. This line represents the amount of plastic in millions of tons that has been recovered from 1960 to 2010. Obviously, there is a huge contrast between the two ever since 1960. What this means is that millions of tons of plastics are being unaccounted for, and nobody knows where they're going. Before we can discuss the plastic issue, we first have to discuss why plastics are so popular in the world today. After World War II, the United States saw a large boost in the production and use of plastics. As you can see here, many people thought that plastic was this great new miracle material that could be used in almost everything. Right here, obviously it says the best things in life come through plastic. However, it turns out that a large amount of plastic is ending up in the ocean each year. The National Wildlife Federation estimated that almost 14 billion pounds of plastic annually end up in the world's oceans. This plastic gets caught up in large currents that go throughout the ocean, which are known commonly as gyres. In today's age, it's common knowledge that plastic is very bad for marine wildlife. As seen here, some baby turtles can get, when they're younger, can get caught in plastic rings, and then they'll end up growing around them, meaning the rest of their life they will be deformed. Other birds, like albatrosses, can get caught in plastic, get their necks caught in plastic rings that are used probably for soda or beer cans. Other turtles actually end up eating plastic bags because they believe they look like jellyfish. This, all pretty obviously, is very bad for marine wildlife. Well, obviously, plastics can hurt animals on a physical level. It can also be very detrimental to them on a chemical level. Right here is a picture of what many people probably believe plastic in the ocean looks like. They probably picture lots of bottles completely intact, but it's lying in the ocean. However, this is not the case. This picture depicts the Atlantic coast off the United States and northern parts, tip of South America, and some of the Caribbean. First of all, it's noteworthy to notice the high concentrations of plastic pieces off the coast of North America. Second of all, it is noteworthy to notice that the plastic is being found, in fact, in pieces. This means that in the ocean, these plastics are being broken down into smaller parts. This could also mean that the chemicals used to make these plastics are being broken down and entering into the ocean water. For example, a team of researchers in Japan found levels of polystyrene, which is used in making styrofoam and plastic cutlery, and seawater levels near the United States, Europe, and India. Additionally, another team of researchers found levels of BPA in the salt water of over 200 countries. The EPA lists BPA as reproductive and developmental toxin, this meaning that harmful toxins are being broken down from plastics into the salt water of nearby countries. While having toxins like BPA in the ocean is obviously harmful to marine wildlife, it could also be harmful to humans. Many humans are dependent on eating fish. Look at all the plastic around these countries. If this plastic gets into the fish, it can start to bioaccumulate up the food chain into humans, meaning that deadly toxins like BPA end up in humans. Obviously, this could all be bad for both wildlife and humans. So there needs to be some sort of solution to what's going on. So I'm going to take you to Christian Gonzalez to talk about that.
Thank you, Brian. Paper or plastic? This question has stumped indecisive Americans for years. But what if the answer to that was neither? Many shopping centers across America and even internationally provide customers an incentive to bring in their own reusable bags. Now, this leads us to part of our solution, positive incentives. So what exactly are positive incentives? Now, contrasting negative incentives are incentives that tax people or cost people money when they do something wrong, such as using too much plastic, paper, water, etc. Positive incentives, however, are incentives that reward the user, reward the customer. So, for example, in Hong Kong, positive incentives have been very productive in that the people who go shopping bring in reusable bags, and with those reusable bags, they get an extra couple cents back for each bag they bring in or for each shopping item they get. the use of plastic bags has gone down dramatically in Hong Kong because of this. So who exactly is going to pay for all of this? In short, government. Now, it would be best if the private industry could pay for all of this. However, private industry doesn't tend to like to cost corporations a lot of money initially. However, while this does sound socialist, and that could have potential drawbacks, there are some benefits to this approach, because we're not going to be going through the federal government. The federal government will cause a bureaucratic nightmare when regulating the entire United States. For example, Alaska will be exporting a different kind of material, which will use different kinds of plastic, etc., than New Jersey, California, or Florida. Therefore, the state government will regulate this on a case-by-case basis. This allows them to have a more accurate approach, a more accurate testament to what exactly they are regulating. Therefore, state governments should pass laws that will regulate these industries within reason, that will incentivize positively these industries who cut back on their plastic and provide them with tax breaks or exemptions, etc. Our final approach could be changing the way that new industries revolving around plastic can be developed in the first place, such as in third world countries. Now, researchers in IBM accidentally created a new kind of plastic that is highly durable and highly recyclable. Now, this is important because plastic is a polymer, which means, as Brian pointed out, that when broken down on its smallest level, it's still plastic, so it contains all of the harsh chemicals and all the detrimental effects that plastic has, even on a larger scale. This new plastic, codenamed Titan by IBM researchers, can be recycled, which means all the plastic that is used can be reused. Now, if we can encourage these other countries, like third world countries that are sparking new industries, to use this plastic for packaging or industry, etc., then we could create a more promising future for those areas and slowly adopt it over in the United States and other first world countries. Now, another benefit to this other approach is that when IBM researchers were actually creating this in the first place, which by the way was an accident as previously mentioned, they actually were synthesizing regular industrial plastics, but they left out a chemical by mistake. The absence of this chemical means that if scaled up properly, this new plastic can potentially be cheaper to manufacture on an industrial scale. Therefore, that provides an incentive for these third world countries to adopt these new manufacturing techniques of plastic. That means that these third world countries will be more inclined to use this plastic, which can therefore be recycled and can be kept in the system. Thank you for hearing our solution. Now I'll hand it over to Bobby D'Angelo to give you guys the long-term effects of our solution.
Hi, I'm Bob. Thanks for joining me today. Okay, so I'm going to talk about what we're currently doing in our world today and what we're going to do for the long term if we stick to our plan and Christian's plan. So, like Christian said, he was talking about bags and supermarkets and the incentives we have there. So ShopRite, along with other store chains, are already starting to do that. Okay, so what ShopRite has done is they've incorporated a bag that is reused. So far, they've sold 61 million of these reusable bags, which is great for the company and also great for the environment, because they saved 321 million plastic bags from entering into the garbage dumps last year, which was absolutely huge. They saved millions of tons of plastics doing that, and they've set a precedent for other companies to start being more environmentally friendly with their reusable bags and their plastic uses. So that's a great job, ShopRite. You're already showing that Christian's idea is definitely going to work. It just needs to be implemented on a larger scale. So the next thing that I'm going to talk about is San Francisco. Now, we all know that San Francisco is a very modern place that cares deeply about the environment. So what San Francisco did this year, March 4, 2014, was they actually banned the sale of plastic water bottles. Now, this was done largely in part by the Environmental Commission and a man named Joshua Arce, who pushed through this idea and is actually working currently to make it banned to use plastic bags, plastic containers. He's trying to completely take plastic out of the city. And so far, he's been successful on the water bottle front. San Francisco uses 10 to 15 million water bottles a year. It's in California, which is a really hot place. So obviously those numbers are very high. So basically he took all of these millions of he took all these millions of water bottles out of use. And now the city is saving so much money for the businesses who are now selling plastic water bottles. And along with that is they're reducing the plastic in the cities, which should set a precedent, once again, just like ShopRite set a precedent, for other cities to start thinking maybe they should move to a less plastic way of life. So ShopRite and San Francisco both show us that things can be done to limit plastic in the world. The long-term effects for the plan that Christian laid out before is to cut costs for businesses, their utility costs and other things, by giving positive incentives. Okay, and once these positive incentives are given to the businesses, there's going to be a lot more room for them to expand and use different materials other than plastics, to the point where hopefully one day we can actually shy away from plastics entirely and be a completely plastic-free society. And that would be the hope in the future. As of now, we just need to do every little thing we possibly can and incentivize everything that we can positively to try and spur on this idea that plastic is not needed in our modern world today. Thank you.